Hello everyone. Today we've prepared several detective mysteries for you, and you'll have to scratch your head over them. So bring some donuts, use your deduction skills, and don't hesitate putting the video on pause if you need to think for a little longer. We sometimes do it ourselves, but shh. So let's get it on. A thief in the restroom. While patrolling the airport building, the police heard loud noises and fighting sounds coming from the restroom. When they ran to the sound, they saw a woman with a wound on her head. The police asked the victim what had happened, and the woman replied that when she was combing her hair, someone hit her on the head from behind. The woman fell to the floor and lost consciousness for a few seconds. When she woke up,
money, blah blah.
She found out that someone had stolen her bag with a large sum of money in it. When one of the policemen asked if the woman remembered the attacker's face, she replied that she didn't because the criminal was behind and she couldn't even see him. After listening to the story, the police immediately arrested her for giving false testimony. Why did they do this? No, it's not the evil servants of the law who arrest people because they get out of bed on the wrong side. The woman said she was combing her hair, which means she must have been standing in front of the mirror, and she claims that she didn't see the criminal behind her. But this is a lie, so most likely she's a fraudster, and police have yet to find out what her plan is. 4 elevators. Attention, it's a survival riddle. We know you like them. So, you woke up on the last floor of a tall building which is about to be attacked, let's say by Godzilla. You only have 10 minutes to get out and run away, but the stairs are blocked, and the only way to go down is to use one of the 4 elevators. In one of them there's a huge venomous spider which immediately attacks any living thing that it sees. In the other elevator, there is no elevator at all, so when you go there you just fall into the elevator shaft from a huge height. The 3rd elevator is filled with a poisonous liquid, and in the 4th there's a terribly hungry cannibal tiger. So, which elevator would you choose? So even if you're a professional tamer and you don't suffer from arachnophobia, it's better to choose the 3rd elevator. After all, once the doors are opened, all the poisonous liquid will fall out and you can safely go inside. Just don't forget to be careful in order to not get your shoes that wet. Murder in a store. On a Sunday morning, police received a call from a boutique of elite men's clothing. Someone killed one of the sellers. He was found in the back room. Having arrived at the place, detectives talked with the security chief in the first place. He claimed that there was a power failure and all the cameras turned off, but the doors were locked, so the killer couldn't leave the room, and afterwards, when everything was working again, he blocked the doors himself. The police carefully examined the premises and identified 3 suspects: the cashier, the buyer with a suitcase, and the buyer in a cast. After analyzing the evidence and thinking a little, the officers immediately detained the criminal and later he was put in jail. The question is, who is the murderer? So our attentive viewers probably noticed that the blood on the victim's shirt is on the left. So the criminal must be left-handed. And now let's look at the suspects. The cashier and the buyer with the suitcase are righties, so it has to be the guy in the cast. In addition, the police noticed that it would be convenient to carry weapons in the cast, and they were right. Spy on the ship. Once upon a time, the captain of a large merchant vessel received an anonymous message stating that there was a pirate spy on his ship. Some villains are planning to take over the ship, and they are ready, but they are still waiting for a signal from their man. The captain was thrilled, and after a short investigation, he identified 3 suspects. The first one was a sailor named John, a real sea dog, who had almost reached the age of 50. "I'm definitely not a spy. I've been working here for more than 20 years, said John. The second suspect was 30-year-old Peter, who of course also denied his connection with the pirates. "I can't be a spy and a pirate. How can I be a pirate, Captain? I don't even know how to swim," Peter said. And finally, the captain called a new guy named Sam who was only 18. "Yes, I entered this ship only 2 months ago, but honestly, I'm not a spy, I swear," he exclaimed passionately. The captain listened closely to the three of them and then unmistakably determined the spy. Can you guess who the bad guy was and why? So if you decided that the pirate was Peter, then you're absolutely right. After all, he is a sailor on a ship but claims he can't swim. A real sailor must be able to swim, which means he's lying. It's also certain that Peter is a spy, otherwise why would he try to explain himself so unconvincingly? Tulips and apples. One man sued his neighbor. The cause of the dissatisfaction was a branch of an apple tree from the neighbor's land hanging over the fence, just above his flower bed with rare tulips. The victim claimed that the falling apples broke his flowers and therefore demanded that the neighbor immediately cut down the branch and pay him a large sum as compensation. However, the court, after listening to the man, suddenly decided that he himself was to blame. Why? Of course, this is an honest judge and the owner of the apple tree didn't bribe him, so think carefully. So if you've seen at least once how tulips and apples grow, you probably know that the first ones cease blossoming much earlier than the fruits ripen, and apples can fall from the tree only when they begin to ripen. Hence, the cunning owner of the tulips specially shook the branch to get compensation from the neighbor. Ransom. One successful businessman, Mr. Thompson, had 2 sons, the elder James and little Billy. One day, Mr. Thompson called the police and reported in a trembling voice that Billy had been kidnapped. When the officers arrived to the businessman's home, he said that almost immediately after the abduction, the criminals called him and demanded $500,000 the same day. The money had to be brought to a park near Mr. Thompson's house. The frightened father immediately collected the necessary amount, and his eldest son James volunteered to carry the suitcase to the kidnappers. But when the boy was halfway through, someone suddenly hit him on the head from behind, took the suitcase from his hands and quickly ran away. Detectives turned to James and asked if the guy had time to see the attacker's face, but he said that he didn't, because the criminal hit him from behind. "All I saw was his blue trousers and a t-shirt with a piggy print on his chest," James explained sadly. But this data was enough for the police officers to arrest the criminal, who kidnapped the baby Billy. Well, you've probably already guessed who is the main villain in this story. Yes, it was James, the eldest son of the businessman Thompson. Perhaps the guy could have become a criminal genius, but was confused in the testimony. After all, how could he see the drawing on the criminal's chest if he hit him from behind and then ran away? Kidnapped girl. In one city, there was a group of criminals that had been kidnapping girls with dyed hair for a long time. Detectives managed to locate their secret lair, as well as to learn that at the head of the gang was a certain dark-haired woman. When the police broke into their hideout, they were able to detain everyone, but the head of the bad guys' clan was never found. But they managed to free 3 girls, and they are in front of you on the screen. The first one said that she'd been in captivity for 3 months, the second that she was kidnapped 5 months ago, and the third spent almost a year there. Perhaps the head of the gang is hiding among them. Well, yes, the villain actually pretended to be kidnapped, and it's girl number 1. See it for yourself. If the poor girl had been abducted 3 months ago, her hair would have grown a couple of inches, and this would have become noticeable. So, she was dyed recently. Arrest that girl. So now, everyone who solved at least 4 riddles should give us a like and leave a comment.